Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Today is the official launch of the You Are the Creator podcast. Welcome to the You Are the Creator podcast. And I am God. Every week we sit down with creators, entrepreneurs, artists, visionaries, authors, and tastemakers who chose to create their own lane rather than follow someone else's. But this podcast isn't about success. It's a podcast about identity. Because before every company, every movement, every masterpiece, and every breakthrough, there was a moment when someone or someone's asked themselves a simple question. Are we the solution to a problem that others are experiencing? And through that question, they discovered who they were, who they wanted to become, and ultimately embodied the truth of I am that that I define myself to be. Today, we are exploring that journey. And today, when I say we have a special guest, special to me in every sense of the word, my friend, my brother, Mr. Bryant Fennell, known as BryGuy out of Philadelphia, who is a wine critic, NWS certified sommelier, wine and spirit specialist, published author and wine critic for multiple publications, working on a groundbreaking book and other projects. He's the host of the podcast Wine Unknown, regularly published reviews in his blog worthy mixed reviews on his website. Who is he? Bryant Fennell, aka Yo BryGuy, is a Philadelphia-based wine critic, sommelier, and content creator who turned years behind bars and in restaurants into his full creative brand. He earned his National Wine School certification and became a wine and spirit specialist for the state of Pennsylvania, then built his brand around making wine approachable, cultural, and fun, not elitist. Mr. Bryant Fennell, welcome in, my brother. How are you feeling today?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thank you for having me here. I'm excited. I'm feeling great. I am.
I am, man. I'm so excited for you and this opportunity to have this conversation. It's funny that this journey it starts here. In the beginning, there too will the ending be. It is you as my peer, as my comrade, who was the spark of my own to I am that, to I am that I am. It was you seeing within me a speaker, a motivator that inspired me to look within and to uncover
hmm
the I am within. And I think your story is a textbook in my moment. From years of working in environments that most people see as just a job, but you quietly have been building an identity in plain sight. Despite not going to culinary school or studying wine formally at first, it was your passion that you found and you chose to follow it. That's the creator's journey. That's it.
Okay, all right. I didn't know what was going on. I was just like, all right, I'm here with you though. I'm listening, because I listen to a lot of podcasts. So, yeah, I'm here. I'm here with you, man. Thanks for having me. How are you feeling? What's going on?
Brother, I'm excited. It's like I got those jitters, those moments of identity expression, but in the moment I get to calm myself and be still and just enjoy the moment, enjoy the process of being and becoming. So I've been talking, piping you up. Before we get into the pre-prepared questions, before we go down that track, let's just talk for a minute, man. Just you tell me about you. What didn't the introduction say about you that we missed? Because you're more than just that.
Yeah, man. I'm an award-winning bartender. I'm a freelance writer, finding my identity within that, travel writing. It's really good, really great. And I don't know. I guess that's that. I'm still learning, I'm still evolving, I'm still growing. So the all the accolades and the titles, they're just gonna keep on going on. But I don't let those like define me. They're just a part of the journey.
1,000%. So that's the journey of growth, like not being attached to too many ideas. And you just mentioned that you are a what is it, a world-renowned bartender or certified, all of the above.
An award-winning bartender. An
Award-winning.
award-winning bartender.
Would you like to give us any shout outs to the awards that you've been able to receive in bartending?
No, I think they have enough publicity on their own. They're big brands. So, Congratulations to them. They don't need me to say anything. It's Googleable though.
I got you right on. Well, so let's talk about that. Let's. I think that it gives us an interesting opportunity. You spent years working bars and restaurants before wine took over. So, what? Tell us a little bit about what was that season of life actually like. Was it purposeful or was you just grinding? Like, what was kind of your MI moment?
I mean, I don't consider myself a grinder or a hustler or anything like that. I just stumble in to dying art and I highlight it and I amplify it with the gifts that I have. Just like so before I got into the hospitality world, I was in the music industry, and as you can see how the music industry is today, that everybody's complaining about the kind of contracts they got, and yeah, that's pretty much split the business of music. I got out at a really good time, but that was the moment when I left that industry. I was just like, that was the confusion of like, well, what do I do next? What am I going to do? So like one of my favorite characters is Sterling Archer. And what did he do? He's like, we're talking about like one of the world's best secret agents. When things hit the fan, what did he do? He moved to an island and just was drinking like margaritas and whatnot. I kind of did something similar, except I was just on an island and I left that. And once I left that island, it's just like, what do I do? Where else? When you're trying to hide, when you're trying to hide from people, corporations that you owe a lot of money to, what do? And I was getting paid under the table at bartending. I went to the hospitality world because like they don't they don't pay you. You make a living off of tips, and tips in that time were just kind of like cash. You didn't get like there's no paper trail. So it was easy to make a honest living for myself without while evading the music industry execs.
I don't. Honesty and evading in the same sentence is ironic, but please continue.
Yeah, so that was the moment, when I was just like, all right, what can I do? Who am I? Like all I know is like what worked, which was that independent journey of navigating through the music industry, which is the wild, wild west. So I'm not a 9 to 5er kind of person. That's one thing I do know. I'm not a sit at your desk. I'm more hands-on, active, and negotiator for what I want to accomplish. And the aha moment came on as I'm in the hospitality world. It's just like I can do this. Matter of fact, I can do this at a high level. I'm a bartender now. Forget that, and that's when that moment clicked for me. And
I
I haven't
am
looked,
a
I haven't kind
bartender
of looked
now,
back. Yeah, because I was a DJ, but I'm not a DJ anymore.
so that's
I'm not
crazy.
I'm not a bartender anymore either.
But there's I know you personally, so and I think it's something that you display an ability to be self-defined. I've written a couple books. In my first book, I mentioned how you were an inspiration for me in that sense that you had the ability to just be like, I'm doing this. We went to college together. You were able to like change your majors and just really have this malleability to your identity. Like you would do things, but not just do them to do them. You would fully embody the identity, experience the experience, and then move on to another thing and not be detached or discouraged from the lack thereof experience in the fulfillment. It was just like, no, I did that to the furthest degree that I wanted to do it. Like I tried out, I made the team, I did this, but then that's not, I've learned I really ain't want to do that. So I
I
think
know,
that's an
man. That was
interesting trait.
sorry to cut you off. I'm sorry because you had a triggering moment for me, right? Because it's like, well, when do you know to stop, right? And like when he's talking about basketball and making a team, it was like for the university that we went to made it, and then I learned about clearinghouse and redshirt and not being like a scholarship player. So in order to get some time on the court, they had to play all their scholarship basketball players before. And we didn't go to a winning school at a level where, you know, the starters had to be in at all times. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, I don't want to sit around. I know I'm good. I don't want to sit on the bench, and watch these guys play. No, I want to play, but I'm not going to be able to get any time because, like they're holding on by 2 points. It's just like, nah, man. Like, so that's when it became not worth it for me. And then I did get offers to go to like other universities where I would have gotten a scholarship, but they're out of state, and it just became a no. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I don't love the game. I don't love the game that much.
So that's interesting because the question becomes not the question. A part of the manifestation is the passion. So for you, you gave us a little brief overview. You talked about being in the music industry, doing DJing, finding your identity within the bartending. So when did you realize that the interest in wine wasn't just a passing thing? It was something bigger. Like you just said, like you came to like, when do you let something go? When you're like, you figured out all the things that you had to do to really like go through to become a basketball player. It's like, I really don't want to go through all that. Like I'm not able to shine there. When did you realize your interest in wine wasn't just a passing thing?
I've learned a lot. It's like I've learned so much about so many different cultures, and I got to meet so many people from so many different cultures and just learn. And I was able to connect and have a lot of genuine relationships and friendships, throughout all of those experiences. And that's when I felt most connected with the world, by talking to the people that's from these different places in the world or throughout the world. And I'm a curious kind of person, so all of these things pique my curiosity. So we can have it over a glass of wine, and they're telling me about the way of the land through, not just through a glass of wine, but what it took to get there, the history behind it. It was a lot of tradition that came with it, and it's just good to know. It's just good to know.
So, take us back to the journey of so now you transition, you figure out like you want to work in hospitality, you get into it, you're working in the bars, you're exposed, you're doing it, you're not really just grinding, you surviving, but you're learning, you embody whatever identity, because like you said, you became an award-winning bartender, and then that wasn't the thing. But then there was a time where like wine became the thing. It became there was am I the one? You saw like a problem, you saw an opportunity within the industry to like really take ownership of it. Can you take us into that, like that time?
Well, yeah, the reason I didn't want to bartend anymore is like after becoming that award-winning bartender, man, you start like within the first year of actually bartending, winning such a prestigious an award or even getting recognized with that. That excitement is really good. But man, just like the music industry, they give contracts that have terms and agreements to them. And afterwards I read through the terms, the fine print, and I discovered that they owned my likeness for the next decade of my life.
Mm.
And I just didn't like that because I was writing, or I did write I don't want to call it just like a cocktail book or anything like that, because it was a great story, like great drinks make for a broken heart, or a broken heart makes for great drinks. And when I was going through that whole process, of course, my lawyers took a look at it and took a look at that contract, and it just came down to the fact that why I never released it was just that because they owned my likeness. So if I was to publish that book, they would get a good chunk of the split of whatever that book had generated, and they weren't going to market it. They weren't going to do anything for it, but they were just going to recoup all of it because they owned my likeness. So that easily kills passion right there, and that's why commerce and art, like, big commerce and art kind of clashes as from the creative aspect. And so that's when it was like, I am not this. It's easy to sit there like there comes a point where you can sit there and be like, I am not that anymore. So, but still working in the industry, the hospitality industry. You constantly get people who ask you, well, what kind of wine goes with this food? What glass of wine should I have? And that not being my wheelhouse, and the person that asked me she was gorgeous, gorgeous. So I'm going to do anything just to get on her radar. So that became a motivator for me. Women, beautiful women, and I knew that beautiful women loved wine. So I'm just like, I want to be able to continue the conversation if just through this. So she knows that I'm the person that she wants to come and talk to. So that's when my I am happened really fast and really easy. I'm into wine.
So you just said so much because there was that somebody reaching a level of success in an industry or like excelling, showing that potential and possibility, getting there, having the achievement, but then being like, this isn't really all that it appears to be. And then that accomplishment of identity of being that I am, you reach the level, the pinnacle of that I am, but then in that you found the suffering of the encasement, the definiteness, the boxing in of that particular identity. It was just a part of your I am journeys that you were infinitely able to experience. And then from that, you learn what I am not. I think so many times we resist that suffering of coming to the conclusion that I'm no longer what I was. I'm growing. This was nice to embody for a while, but this is where I'm moving on. And something else that you just said about the honesty about what motivates you. We often think that things such as our desires to attract or to be presentable to the other sex, to get attention, to stand out, to be recognized is bad, but it's not. It's honesty. It's an indicator. That desire is a signal for you to uncover that which is within. And so from that like desire to be like, ooh, I want to answer your question. I am whatever you need me to be.
I'm at your service.
I'm at your service. Passion plus problems equals profit. For your passion to be of service to a particular audience, you were directed to a vehicle that was within your aligned identity that was internally waiting. You did love hospitality and being the life of the party. But from a DJ to being a bar, you love entertaining and making people feel good and controlling the environment in the room and creating experiences. But then there's a certain avatar that you feel called here to serve. And so you found that through that spark of desire to be presentable to a particular audience. And I think that's so beautiful.
And
But be honest
yeah,
with me, right? So all right, you coming into like you get into the wine, you like, oh snap, I'm gonna get into it. So you get exposed to it, you like, yo, I'm gonna be whatever that is. You learning, you experiencing, you talked about all the experiences of just meeting different people and talking. Was there a version of you that almost talked yourself out of this path though? Like, what did that inner conversation sound like? Because it could seem daunting, right? People might think of wine as just like Italy, but wine is a global economy. It's so many spokes and different things. So talk to us about that, like that inner conversation of just going through the different things and maybe at times getting discouraged or feeling overwhelmed. How'd you deal with it?
sure. I mean, like, I definitely had identity issues within coming into the wine industry. Like, all right, so I had my motivation in the beginning, right, of the desire of all the beautiful women that avatar. But then that only lasts for so long because the more you learn, the more you know, and when you're trying to communicate, you understand that, oh man, they don't care. You know, so that beats you down. Just like, all right, man. Well, the reason I was doing this isn't it's not translating to where I'm at now. So you can go through that, and that's when you get that new. Hopefully, you get a new spark on snap. Well, now this is showing this avenue, which is the more global conversations of the wine industry, and when you're in the hospitality, there aren't too many, or there weren't at that time too many forefront figures within or representation of black people in the wine business, not just the hospitality industry, but the wine business. And there still aren't many black representation in the business of wine. So as far as the hospitality aspect goes, like a lot of people weren't conditioned or ready or even considering black people to be like sommeliers. So there was a whole gatekeeping of that during this journey, and so it was a whole lot of no's on the very few places that actually had wine programs going on for their hospitality business. So that was really discouraging. So it's like, well, what do you do? How do you get your foot in the door? You keep hearing no's, you keep hearing no's. What do you do? But then we're in this in this era, it's like, yo, man, I can make it myself. I can sit there and just start filming myself while I'm studying. I could sit there and just like really get the creativity going, to go into full creator mode. So from there, it's just like, all right, how? So I just started filming videos, and back then I just did what I knew how to do in the very beginning, was make cocktails, make mixed drinks. So I started with that because I can sound like an authority, or I could be an authority within that, and then that helped me, give me the confidence to start moving forward to what I was trying to do, because I already sound like an authority, like I know what I'm talking about from cocktails. So a lot of people will show a lot more grace and be a lot more patient for you if you sit there and you introduce, hey, I'm trying to get into wine, and I'm just going to start throwing out these things, these videos for such kind of content. And yeah, yeah. I think that's the way that it went for a while. And then from there I started getting phone calls and emails from people in the wine business, not so much the hospitality industry, as far as like, hey, come be a som over here or something like that, not any of those, but the actual, we're talking about like distributors, importers, more marketing. Like, it just started going more into the actual business of wine, rather than what I thought that I would do, which would be a sommelier at a brick and mortar somewhere. So that was pretty challenging. That was pretty challenging because, like, the sommeliers were getting the looks. Now you're getting the hugs from all the beautiful women. They're coming over, like, like, it's a whole different, like, it's a whole ego thing. It was a whole ego, it's a whole ego reasoning.
You
But then I learned the realness.
No, please continue. So I'm so excited because you are dropping so many gems in terms of the internal embodiment of identity, and you're presenting the solutions in real time, right? So like something that you mentioned that really stood out was the problems versus opportunities. So when you first getting started and you're like, oh, the globe was like, oh no, it's a new way to look. It's a new way to look at it. How do I adjust? How do I learn? How do I expand? Having that internal resolve to start where you are. You say, yo, I don't know where to start. I know how to do this though. I know like this is my thing, and I'm going to show up in this capacity. And then the vulnerability to be honest about where you are starting from, to put it out and to be like, hey, I'm learning this. I'm trying to become this. This is what I'm doing, putting it out there and allowing yourself to grow into that identity, and then dealing with the discouragement of having your brain set on one thing, one direct path, finding that path may not be it, right? And like recognizing and reconciling that that's attached to your ego, and then still being willing to grow into it, right? To still be like, okay, again, that problems versus opportunities perspective of being centered and being able to shift from excitement to fear, problem to opportunity. And if you pay attention to those two examples, have to and get to, they're a letter apart. Fear and excitement are right there. Opportunity and problem is right there. Have and get to is right there. But staying in that center place and choosing the perspective of positivity demonstrating how, like, it's the journey. You went through stuff, you got discouraged, you had these same experience, because it appears over and over in during the journey of becoming, right? So, and but with a lot of it, did anyone take you seriously when you said you wanted to build a brand around wine, right? Like internally or externally? And I know, like, sometimes we often look for that internal support, and sometimes we look for the external, and we don't get it. We may or may not. So let's talk about that journey.
I mean, I have a really great community tribe, as far as like my friends, like Hugo, like you, my sister, a few others, but not so much. So no, I didn't really feel the support and love, that I thought that I would need to to put that battery in my back. But it's that one bar from the artist formerly known as Kanye, who goes by Ye. It's just like, man, I was having nervous breakdowns. Like, dag, these people that much better than me, and that kind of like stuck in my brain a whole lot, just because it felt like a chip on my shoulder. Like I'm doing something that people just don't get, that people just don't see, and that's why I like Ryan Leslie too. Because Ryan Leslie has that mindset that I align with a lot, on just like, yeah, that independent route. But outside of that, but within the actual wine business itself, the support came from, always got to show love to Ethan Lindquist. Now, Ethan Lindquist is the son of a legendary winemaker from the central coast of Cali, and his dad is Bob Lindquist. And Ethan was just like, "You're coming with me," like I want you to be my assistant winemaker, yada yada yada, and that had me just like, whoa. But then the corporation, the company that he was under, it didn't pan out. It didn't pan out so well. It was a really challenging experience, another minor setback, and and yeah, it was a like, nobody really knows this story at all, because a lot of people start following me and like really rocking with me when it came to the winery and whatnot. But yeah, like, no, they were just against it, and it put me in a position to be more to go more to the assistant beverage director role, rather than more so the assistant winemaker role. And it was a challenge, just like, man. And the person they end up giving the assistant, like, once they got Ethan out of the equation, the person that they gave the assistant winemaking position to, he's a really great guy, man. He's a really great guy, but it was a different, they went a different direction that had everybody just like with the screw face, like, wait, what? Because it just didn't make any sense.
Mm.
But networks are networks. I mean, communities stick with communities. It's really is. Some of them have really like tight communities. They have a lot of loyalty to likeness, and during that time, because this was before the George Floyd and all of that, there wasn't really a global or even a national like community of Black people just championing on one another on a mass media trajectory. That didn't happen until after the George Floyd, when you start seeing more Black people get media coverage, that now the average person could sit there just like, oh snap, I'm going to spend my money with them. That wasn't a thing back then. So yeah, I had so as far as wine business, it started off with Ethan Lindquist, and then it just started, a lot of other people started to champion me on.
Again, brother, I sit here and I'm just smiling at you, because you're revealing so much about that journey. So here you are, you're going right, you're growing through, encouraging the problems versus opportunity, shifting your mindset, dealing with the discouragements, and then you meet someone, and that someone believes in you, right? Someone outside of your circle, someone outside of, so you have a core group of friends who you need to value for that support, right? Don't go where you are tolerated, go where you are celebrated, right? Be intentional about creating those environments of people that are going to encourage you and see you the way you want to see yourself, right? And not just in like an egotistical way, but in a self-reflective, accountable way, right? It's not like, oh, like, if you can be that if you do the work, not you are that, you don't got to do nothing, right? Like be around people that's like, yo, you can do that if you're willing to do the work. And that ability for you to cherish those people enough to there and to embody the identity as I am internally within your community, to go out and reflect it as I am that and be that in the world, and then finding someone. But then dealing with that, like you make the connection, it seems like it's about to, oh, this is it. I'm about to get this opportunity. This is about to happen. It's all gonna go for me. And then the universe kind of throws a wrench in it. It's like somebody who may not be a perfect fit, somebody who doesn't feel like it's as aligned with what the vision that was communicated to you. You like, yo, y'all told me y'all wanted this, 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 and this. That's what I am. I'm all of that. Wow, like you got exactly what you need right here. And then that it transformed. So with a lot of that, again, there's that imposter syndrome, the confronting the identity, the feeling like, damn, these people that much better than me. So there's beliefs about yourself that you start to adopt. What did you believe about yourself back then that you had to unlearn to like really start making like the forward progress that you've been making?
I mean, like I've always been a confident person, even if it's like false confident, like delusional. Like I am super delusional. I am overly confident in what I can do. And I kind of need that. I kind of need that. But then my track record showcases that no, I always been able to make something from nothing. So what I had to unlearn or uncondition myself or just rethink differently is how I go about it rather than what I do to go about it. So now I'm more so focusing on the humility aspect of the journey, which is being like nothing but gratitude and just letting it develop through humility and not just like, yeah, all these accolades and all that kind of stuff. This is I've done this, I've done that. Like, no, 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 no. That's not the way to go about it. Or look at my resume. Look, man, you can Google me and see what I've done. Not like staring away from the ego and leaning more into the human experience, the human exchange.
Flash, you are on fire, bro. Because it really is that shift, right? The becoming aware is a struggle, right? You struggle to fully go from unknown to known, right? Living in awareness is effortless. And so you transition from being like learning to be, to do, to go after, to receiving, to allowing, to aligning. It's a different experience. And it's truly an identity shift, right? From I am doing this and I like this to, oh, I'm trying to, I am a sommelier, right? All right, guys, we're back. Welcome back after a brief intermission. We are resuming, picking up. We were last just talking about something that you had to unlearn, the allowing, the receiving, right? And that identity shift from I am trying, I'm becoming, I'm working on, to I am. And now living from that identity. So for you, when did the I work in restaurants and I like wine become I am a sommelier? I am a wine authority. When did that like internal shift happen to where like you begin to, you know what I'm saying?
Man, here's the thing, right? So I haven't really worked the floor as a sommelier for a long time. I had a small stint where it was called a wine captain.
Mm.
And then COVID happened, and that ended that. But that was that's when that sommelier thing, like title or floor captain, wine captain kind of thing happened. It's like a brief little stint. So imagine this all this time I've been building up to that to get to that title,
Mm.
And then I finally get to it and giving it my all, had a super dope wine list, wine by the bottles, like small producers, high quality stuff, just a really good wine menu going on. So COVID happens and then everything just gets shut down. So I was working that entire time up to this title, and then everywhere the pandemic shuts everything down. So what happens after that, right? There were so many conversations amongst the hospitality thought leaders and restaurateurs and whatnot, the decision makers. So throughout that, and like we're talking about masters, sommeliers, restaurateurs, investors, everyone talking about what does this role look like? What is this a thing anymore? And for the most part, they were saying that you're going to have like no one's going to be able to afford a sommelier, or there are very few places that's going to be able to afford sommeliers on the payroll, on the roster, and that just meant you just had to take a demotion, or if you look at it as a demotion, it just becomes a hybrid role, meaning that you'll just take a managerial position. So it's going to be like a beverage direct. I mean, it could be a beverage director. It could be a beverage manager. It could be a general manager, but you're just doing split responsibilities. You're having split responsibilities, but you also have taken a pay decrease. So instead of getting paid the sommelier salary that used to be like it could range from like 60K to on upwards, now you're starting off at 50K and going in with increase, but you're having a dual role. So now you're a beverage manager, a floor manager, a general manager, as well as a sommelier. So now you're not just dealing with the inventory of the wine and, creating the list and training the staff. Now you're scheduling, you're doing payroll, you're doing all these added responsibilities just because
Mm.
of the aftermath of the pandemic. So
Mm.
it was kind of just like a no, I'm good. It goes back to those other moments, those minor setbacks of I don't want to sit there and do the hybrid role of being a manager and a sommelier. Why would I do extra work when I only want to do this one thing? So I took a managerial position, an entry level managerial position. So now I'm able to throw that on my resume. I didn't have any. I didn't do beverage at all. I just supervised the floor, and I just handled like scheduling. That was pretty much it. And that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I end up that's what made me sit there and just like, yeah, I'm done with the hospitality industry. I'm not doing that. I don't want to
Mm.
do that. And since places say that they can't justify having someone on roster to just solely handle that one thing, it wasn't for me.
So what was it about like even so although the let me put that on. So yeah, okay. Although that wasn't for you, and I might have shifted out some. So, but yours it presents, so the audience will be able to hear everything you had to share. So there's the learning about the identity, but there was something about earning the certification, right? Because being willing to become certified, to apply, to invest to yourself, that's a declaration of identity. It's a showing, right? It's a internalized, like, I know I can do that. What shifted in you the day that you became certified as a sign? Like, was there an internal shift of just like confidence in knowing?
No, man. Honestly, I hated it. Hated it. Like, cause that's playing a game, and I don't want to play the game. Like the way that I feel about certifications is just it's man, like pay to play. And honestly, though, I can't say that those certifications don't do anything for me. Of course, now if they're looking on paper, right? They see my name, Bryant Fennell. They don't associate that with a black person. Then they're going down seeing the work history and all that, and all of these places are good places just to have on your resume, and then they see those achievements. They're seeing they're expecting something different than who walks through the door, you know? So yeah, doing that, like it's like the certification doesn't make the man. The man makes the certification, or the person makes the certification. Not to do the gender thing, but this yeah, it's so many different certifications, right? So you have the quartermaster sommeliers, which focuses on service, that focuses on the hospitality industry, yada 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 yada. So they're all like different fraternities. Then you have the WSET, which kind of focuses more on like distribution, behind the scenes kind of things, yada yada yada. Then you have the way that I did enjoy the most, which was the National Wine School of Philadelphia. But they actually have an institution that's based out of California, and this is just a branch of their curriculum, of their institution, just stationed here in Philadelphia. And that's where it was one-on-one, hands-on. It was more of a structured way of an institution's curriculum. The WSET is based out of the UK, and you're just following that, which kind of has its biasness to it, because it's just like, all right, so it's predominantly teaching you more about like French wine than anything else. Yeah, and for the Court of Master Sommeliers, there's no institution at all. You just show up and take an exam, and you don't know what to expect at all. So like those things are just like, well, overall, you just gotta either you know the stuff or you don't. It's not really a guided experience. So after going through all of that, it's just like, well, I might as well just really try to be my best. And there's so many things that these places just don't teach you about. Like I learned about indigenous grapes and native grapes, grape varietals from the National Wine School. The NWS was when I start learning, oh snap, there's more than just like Pinot Grigio, Pinot Noir, Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay. Like, no, now I'm learning about Minthia. And then that's just like, wait, somebody will be like, well, what's that? And I can sit there and just say, hey, that's the native grape in Spain. That's that's like a Cabernet Sauvignon on like natural steroids, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like just, but you're like, now I'm cultivating a whole different experience. So yeah,
Yes.
so the certifications, so the title, the certifications, none of that. They more so disappointed me than made me feel empowered at all, because it didn't land me a job. It didn't do
Mm,
anything. It didn't do anything for me besides maybe give me a look at some people who didn't know me. But like I said, by that time I was already getting personal, either phone calls or DMs from people to come do stuff with them.
no, again, bro. So learning and recognizing. So you do it, you accomplish it, right? We think the externalized part of the journey is going to be what brings us the most fulfillment, the certifications, the jobs, but you don't find that in the identity. And in a industry such as wine that can be gate kept in an elitist space, you've kind of figured out a way to you made a decision about building your brand that would kind of be opposite of that, right? You've been able, like you said, you've been able to cultivate your own experience in not rejecting, but taking from that which you can and not fully accepting somebody else's definition of the experience to be truly yours. Like that's what it means to contribute and add to an industry, right? Is to come in and be willing to be a student of all of the different schools and then kind of integrate your own. Question is, right? And then this wine can be a gate kept elitist space. How did you decide your brand would be opposite of that?
Okay, man. So I mean, like, man. All right. So I have to. It's elitist, or it feels like that way. So I'm actually writing an article on this. So this is funny.
Mm,
This is awesome. So I mean, it's going to go up on my Substack. The BryGuy Substack, where I'm writing about like how did wine become this way as far as, to the market, making it feel so elitist or bougie or anything like that. And like I really have to there's a couple places to kind of point the finger, right? And that comes with the chateaus in Bordeaux, since like 1855 they made this list, and these homes, chateau homes, are the the place, the wines you have to drink there the best, and they're the most expensive. So you're going to sit there and you got to pay the $1 million, for the bottle in order to get real wine. Then you got champagne, which, oh my goodness, champagne, how did it come from being regional sparkling wine to what it is now? Well, it was marketing. They
Mm.
intentionally sat there and created the CIVC, this kind of just like department, where they started off with aligning champagne. It's the drink of nobles and kings. And now they modernized it to celebratory and luxurious sparkling wine of choice, something that you can aspire to have.
Mm.
Crazy. That's crazy. So now so it's, yeah, man, yeah. So it's a whole thing, but it's efforts like that and how they're handling the marketing that makes it that
Mm.
people are feeling like I can't afford that. If I'm doing that, I'm doing something good for myself. Like, oh man, it got to be a celebration or whatever, or only the billionaires of the world can drink like Cristal, or something like that. Whatever brand you want to throw in. So my whole approach was, well, I'm not doing that. I don't care. Like I'm not a billionaire. I'm not a millionaire. I'm barely even a thousandaire. I'm like the reason I got it, the reason why I wanted to know so much was because I wanted to help my own pocket. I wanted to help my own financial situation. I wanted to drink really good stuff that I know I could afford. So
Mm.
so by doing that, now it's just like, oh snap, there's another sparkling wine. I mean, now the prices on this are jumping up because people are finding out. But like on Cava, this is a sparkling wine from Spain. And now, I mean, like, it's fantastic. It drinks, they hate this saying, but it drinks just as well as a champagne. And at that point, we were talking about like a $10 bottle. So now
Mm.
I just saved myself at least $290. Well, I was looking at it. But that's what made me sit there and like, you know what? I don't care about the gatekeepers, because the gatekeepers don't care about me, right? First, they don't care about the masses. They want they know who they know who they're attracting to. They know yeah, yeah. So it's not a bad boy image or anything, but it's just a relatable guy. But what I've discovered within my journey is just like, man, the really good stuff that's at a reasonable or affordable price, people aren't conditioned to enjoy.
Mm. So something that you were just saying that it triggered me in terms of how information, right, can lead for you to gain authority to cultivate your own experiences. So all this while you're gaining more and more knowledge, you're learning, right? You're adopting different identities, and that information that you're acquiring from the experiences that you're willing to embark on is empowering you to be like, hey, what would it look like this doesn't represent who I am. What would it look like to cultivate experiences that based on me? So, and with the information, you can know what to look for what is good stuff, and not just be mass marketed to in terms of what is supposed to be good based on the company. You get all like your own desire and fulfillment led for you to becoming informed, and that information allow for you to start to create the type of experiences that you wanted. And not creating experiences is based on creating identity expressions, right?
Creators are
Because
going to
identity
create.
creators create. You are the creator's most creative creation. But the creator is the identity expression. It precedes the experience. So as we shift into the I am, right? You talked about like, forget the gatekeepers, they not thinking about me. I'm not thinking about them. So there's a identity that kind of is shedded in that of like pleasing people, right? Conforming, like having to do it by the standards. What was that identity that you had to step out of to allow for you to step into the yo bra guy that you are today?
I mean, just like most people, when they think of sommeliers or people that sell wine or that know wine, i- the avatar is this snobbery, stuck up kind of like jerk. I mean, don't get it wrong. Like at moments, I do have the jerk title going on for myself, but I don't have the snobbery. Like I'm easy to talk to. I'm easy to, it's like, and I wouldn't. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit there and say that I would not work with the gatekeepers. Like
Mm-hmm.
if they're offering a check that makes sense, it's like, yeah, I'm taking it, but it won't. But then it would be the understanding of they know the voice that I have. So I would still be my authentic self, but we're just going to explain it more so my way. But we'll get their talking points off. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah, man, like no, yeah, no, that totally makes sense. There's truth in that. You can walk that fine line of still being who you are and true to yourself and being able to look yourself in the mirror the next day, as opposed to just completely selling out. And I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not mad at anybody, who decided to take the route of selling out. It's like, you who else deserve, like, you deserve it, Like you're the one that
Mm-hmm.
put all that money into, like the certifications. You worked the floor so long, you probably got mistreated by the general public, when they came into your bars or restaurants. So I'm not mad at you for selling out. You deserve every monetary gain you can get. But for me, it's just like I wanted to be comfortable with who I am and just try to find the people that want to have a good time just like I want to have a good time, you know.
1,000%. No, 1,000%. And I think again, it all really comes down to that, like the finding yourself and that identity within of I am, and then using that to express yourself as I am that, right? And so, in terms of the I am that, that is what produced why unknown. So that internal identity of like, hey, this is how I want to present. I don't like I can let go of this identity of being I'm just like I gotta be a Psalm. I gotta do it by the standards. I gotta do it how they say I should do it. I get to from my internal identity and representation of me get to create content experiences that aren't just about grapes and tasting notes, right? Like in your content, you connect wine to wars, politics, immigration, religion. Like, give us a little insight where that vision came from.
Man, I love wine unknown, yo. I love it. I love it so much. Just for the sheer fact that it's fun for me, but at the same time, wine unknown serves its purpose, and I know who I do it for, and it's all introductory information that wine unknown is all about. There might be moments when I kind of geek out, but that's not what wine unknown is solely. It's not for that. It's casual listening. It's like I try to keep it around 30 minutes. So it's like I'm not geeking out on 30 minutes. Ain't nobody's trying to sit there and listen to somebody nerd out about wine and the history or what to do with it and all this kind of stuff. Nobody's trying to sit there and do that for the 30 minutes unless you're really into it, but that's a whole different person. Like the casual person that's listening to podcasts is just background noise. So when I go about it, I want to make sure that the moments when you're not spacing out and I got your attention for like the 5 seconds, it's valuable. It's something that you can
Mm.
make practical right then and there, or not right then and there, but at some point throughout that week. It's like, oh snap, yeah, I heard about this. I want to try that, or I'll go out and try something different because that sounded like that was cool. It's just stuff. It's stuff that you can retain as entry level, and now you got a nice little story to go along with whatever it is whatever you do, because it's like you might look at the Finger Lakes in New York a little bit differently because it's like, oh snap, they got good Riesling. Oh, it's sweet, and you can get something that's for your palate, something that you like, and it's still high quality that you would have never thought of before. You're not just walking into a situation blind now. Now you're equipped with just enough to feel confident and empowered in whatever it is that you're about to purchase. That's what wine unknown is all about. Like if you're like an advanced or if you're like super into it, you can still learn something from it because there'll still be a nugget for you. But then that's just because you've probably read a book or something that doesn't cover the real aspect of what this is.
So would you say that like that your ability to make those connections between like the different industries, like I said, I think I mentioned war, politics, I think it's just travel, geography, right? There's so much in it. Is that just from the storytelling, making the connections of making it relatable so that people can not only take the information, but they take the stories with them to understand how the wine became the wine. Like you said, like about Finger Lakes, there's usually some type of story behind it that goes along with
Yeah. Well, first, I'm a great storyteller. Yeah,
it.
I'm a great storyteller. You know, just as much as I'm a great conversationalist, right? So, like something like, all right, since we're talking about sparkling wine, or since we were talking about sparkling wine, right? Here's something that people could just like take in, whatever. So I'm trying to like tell people, no, don't pop bottles. I know I'm taking the fun away from it because people like the, hear that pop from their sparkling wine, like that sound. But the story behind why that became such a thing was based from the war. Napoleon and his crew, they would make that sound. They like to do that because that was the sound that reminded them of all the lives they taken from shooting them. So that's one where my mind goes when I hear that pop. It's like, dag. So that's, you're celebrating with them. You're carrying on what they feel as an accomplishment of that war of just shooting people, right? And then the other thing is the sabering. The sabering of the champagne or the sparkling wine bottles. Another fun thing, I know, but that was also another thing that they used to do was to mimic the slain heads that they were doing throughout the wars. It's crazy. It's really deep, not cool things that we're carrying on these traditions. But any sparkling wine producer hates that because one, when you do that, you ruin the wine. You ruin the essence of all the carbonation that was trapped inside the wine to keep it fizzy, to keep it bubbly. Now you're just drinking a still wine. So you're not even getting the bubbles. You're not even getting what you're paying for essentially through that process. So it's just like it's just a dumb thing overall. I get it. It's fun. We popping bottles.
We'll try to use the word refrain from using the word, but we choose to address those who make decisions from a different perspective as unaware, right? They are unaware of what they're missing out on in replicating experiences that they've been unformed on. And then through their ignorance, there's a missing out on the experience. And that kind of speaks to the deeper problem that it seems that you feel called to solve, right? Like there's a passion for you for the information to the regular day, everyday people, right? To make it practical so they can make informed decisions, right? And really enjoy the experience that is a centuries old thing. Like for as long as humans been around, humans been drinking wine. So is it about wine or is wine the vehicle for just something so much bigger?
Oh man, it's both. Because the wine itself is really delicious stuff once you can actually appreciate it. But I mean, it's also another vehicle for camaraderie. Like people used to come together back in the days. The founding fathers of well, I guess I shouldn't do that. The founding fathers of America used to come together over punch, like over a punch bowl. like what we would call now jungle juice. They used to do
Ooh,
that.
the juice,
So
baby.
it's all still just, a ritual of community coming together and having some fun.
That 1,000%, right? And I think that like so with everything that you have going on, right? The podcast, the reviews, Substack, you are a published author, building this just entire brand. You offer free resources on your website, guides, just different stuff to all the way over. There's an entire ecosystem for a community of people who like and love wine. What's the vision, like the full vision, look like for you?
I mean, the full vision for me is to be well-traveled producer, because well, you don't know, but traveling writer industry publications are getting rid of that. It's not even getting rid of. They got rid of that. No one. They're not looking. No one. Yeah, they're not paying for that anymore. But to still tell these stories, to still tell these stories from travel. That's the only way you can really know. Because I mean, that, just like the average person doesn't know about the significance of, the popping the bottles and the sabering. There are a lot of folks in the industry who do that, who do those actions, those things, and I'm pretty sure they don't know. So if they're doing it, I can't be mad at the person who doesn't study this stuff, to know it, until they come across something that I produced, which would be on my Substack or my podcast or on the website. You can, like, the website BryGuy.com is a hub for all of these expressions of me telling these stories. So yeah, so the idea is to keep on shipping all of these to media outlets so they can spread it, so they can spread the good news, the good word.
So just to continue growing to reach to a global audience and to continue to inform and inspire people from all walks of life to really create experiences with wine that are of a higher level based on that aren't expensive or misinformed due to marketing propaganda is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, exactly.
But so, right, that's the I am that. You built it up. Now it's the I am that I am. The embodiment. You are a living expression of that initial identity, that am I, as the I am that I am, right? Publish, you like you just said, they can go to your Substack. You have this ecosystem. You have this vision of traveling and building this brand. But let's talk about the habits that you have that have consistently built you into this version of you that allows you to pull this off, right? A lot of people don't know you. They don't understand like the reading, the just like I know you, but tell them, man, tell them like the stuff that people don't see in the transitional stuff.
Man, that's a loaded, it's a loaded comment, statement, a thing that you're asking of me. But okay, all right. So one of the first, I will start off with saying, without working in the hospitality industry or field, you don't get this. Just this, like, sense of urgency, this level of care, this level of camaraderie with strangers. Yeah, I think everybody should have a job in the hospitality industry at some point in your life, and I tell you, you get humbled and you'll look at yourself a lot differently. Like, man, yeah, yeah. So I mean, that is probably the main thing, but
Mm.
outside of that, like, I read. I read a lot. I consume a lot of information all the time. But that just comes in with curiosity.
Have a habit of being curious.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. I'm just curious on, even just still, like, I'm curious for myself, not even of the content, the information, or anything like that, but I'm curious. I'm curious within my I.
The MI, the self-reflected, right? The looking internal.
Yeah, definitely the internal, because then that goes into, like, growth,
Mm.
like all kinds of, like, growth and development. It's just developmental growth. Like, it's just that.
But So that's it is again, and you speak in facts because that's the whole framework of you are the creator is the the I am that, the I am that I am, the I am I. But there's a transition, right? So with all of the consuming of information, with all of the like you working in the industry, you doing this stuff. When did you stop waiting for permission from the official wine world and just really started to claim your authority in this space? Because you're walking, you're owning it. What did that like? Was there a moment that you can identify when you was like, man, I'm gonna build my own. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because I want to.
Well, yeah, I believe in independent. You know, I just believe in independence. You know, like I believe in ownership, owning your own things, just loving the process of it. You know, learning like I mean, learning to the point where you can delegate it. You know, and learning when to actually start delegating. But like, at least I can say that, yeah, I know that I used to color grade all my videos. I know that I used to edit, chop, you know, audio, sync, like, you know, just like everything. So when I'm delegating the responsibility or the task to someone else, I can talk technical. Like that's another thing
Mm,
that you just learn from the hospitality industry is the attention to detail. You know, like it's so many different like working components that's just going on, the skills that you just develop working in the hospitality industry and like just geared and wired, you know. That's usually why people end up on Adderall and drugs
right.
after your shift, you know. It's like, man, that overstimulation, how do you navigate through that? Yada yada yada. So many things, but like I always know like I don't like owing people money. I just don't like owing. I just don't feel like owing. So I just want to own and then let that be what it is.
And that so that own is an ownership of your own identity, right? And that's interesting because a lot of people don't necessarily use the term wine critic, right? A lot of people are like, so what does it feel like now when somebody calls you a wine critic, right? Like you went through the journey of being in hospitality, you've been a DJ, you've been a bar, but this like self-created identity for you, what does that look like, man? What does that feel like for you?
And it's honestly it's pretty challenging. I mean, it feels great for me, you know. It's like now it's more so integrity based
Mm.
just for the sheer fact that people are going to question like, well, how could you like are you going to give a fair evaluation of someone that you might be doing business with, like a party or, you know, something with. And I'm just like, yeah, because if it's not good, I can tell you why it's not good. I mean, it's no hard feelings because I know you put a lot of work and effort into creating this, but man, somebody's going to have to tell you. It's like somebody, you know, like you just can't be a yes man, you know, and that's where the passion lies in. It's just like, no, I'm a fan. Like I enjoy this. You know, like no, like I'm going to be honest with you because I want you to be. I want this to be great. You know, and if you didn't have a good harvest, it's okay. Lean into that,
Mm.
lean into that. Accept, just it's okay to just accept the no. Accept the no, because it's not always going to be a yes. You know, you're not always going to have a grand slam. You're not always going to have a home run. You might not even hit base. But if you're not hitting base or a home run more than you should be, then that's a reflection on the processes that you have. So you could make it different, whatever, you know, like whatever. You could,
Through
it's
the
a,
you
it's a
are
different way.
through the creator identity framework of self-reflection, you can self-identify, self-express, and then self-fulfill as I am that I am, which is a reflection of what you just do. But there's a consistency to you. So in listening, the thing that I can say that sounds like it's remained consistent throughout all of this is your passion. And not only your passion, that desire from that spark, that initial, I want to be of service to a particular audience, but also your curiosity, your self reflection, your ability to internally self identify, self reflect, self identify, and self respect, reflect. But in your own words, what would you say has been the most consistent throughout all of this journey that you've been on?
Man, my honesty with
Ooh,
myself.
just like that.
Yeah, man. Because I mean, like, be honest. If I could be honest with myself, I could be honest with anybody. Because being honest with yourself is usually the hardest thing to do. Usually why people don't let go.
Oh my goodness. Again, so many bars. So the honesty of yourself, right? That revelation, it's an internal journey of self-definition. But if you aren't operating for out of an internal honesty, your brain is going to wind up causing cognitive dissonance. And so it's that honesty of being where you are and growing into where you want to be through effort, through consistency, through the am I, through that self-identifying, self-expressive, self-fulfillment journey. And it's over and it's over and it's over again. And when we look at like the timeline of wine, as we enter into this new age, right? Wine as an industry represents that same journey. What does wine teaching you about that am I, right? As we enter into this new age with all the different things, what is wine teaching you about creation itself? And how are you impacting the creation of wine in this self-reflective period?
Yet again, another. I mean, just having the patience, like sitting there, like so for a newly planted wine or yeah grapevine to start like actually harvesting fruit or produce you can use. We're talking about 3 years before you start to actually turn it into like wine that you can use. So that's patience, and you got to just go through that process, and we're talking about like most like in general, most wine comes from farmers. They come from mom and pops, this small little like plot of land. So it's just nurturing, and then the way that the roots take from the soil to get to the fruit for them to put it back into the nutrients or put different nutrients back into the soil. It's just a synergy that everything goes that affects it. Like we're not even just talking about the soil. We're talking about the air, the wind, the sunlight, you know, like anything that's not like before human hands even touches it, like all the different influences. Like man, it taught me a great deal of being patient and also
Mm,
to not move, not let my greed consume me, because of course I want it all. But just like the grapevines, they want it all too. So if you put them in a really great soil, then you're not going to get great wine. You're just going to get a bunch of more vines because they don't have to work. So you're not going to get good wine, like they have to go through stress. So
mm,
there has to not be enough water in the soil for them to sit there and start like, hold on, no, no, no. Now I got to dig deeper. Now I got to dig deeper to try to find nutrients because like I can't be lazy. So that's why you start planting things in gravel, because it doesn't retain water. That water is just draining all the way down to wherever. But yeah, man. So I learned a lot. A patience and, like I said, humility from the people that's cultivating these grapevines.
again, Flash, you so many gems. The soil. So in the creator identity framework is the essence, the source, the womb of existence, which is the space of existence, right? Call it the soil, right? The seed cannot be planted if there isn't some soil. And in that soil is a darkness, is where the roots, it's where the unseen aspect of the manifestation begins, but it starts in complete darkness. And you said something that was so important about the stress conditions that have to be there to produce the results. I've been saying it's the perfect pressure conditions. We often use this phrase that that pressure makes diamonds. This isn't true. The perfect pressure conditions makes diamonds. It has to be a combination of heat, of air, of atmosphere, of influence, of will, of determination. And in those perfect pressure conditions, right, with just enough pressure, but just enough support and resources as well, you are able to manifest the utmost from within. And as you are a reflective expression of that in your building, what are you building right now that excites you the most, man? What seeds are, what ground are you toiling at the moment? Is there anything that we can talk about that we can let the people know about?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm just still building up my collection for my the wines that I critique on the website www.yobriguy.com. You can become a member there, so therefore you can see the actual critiques that or tasting notes that I have. Outside of that, man, my Substack is where to go at Yo BryGuy Substack, where I have a more like personalized, not editorial publication hub for all of my writings, where it's a little bit more personal and you'll just get my voice and you'll get the logic, because I'm talking to my community. That's where I want everybody to be. It's more for engagement rather than I'm writing a piece for for a major publication and they're tweaking it to fit their audience. So you get to hear my true authentic voice. And, the writings are totally different styles. Some tones may be angry, other tones may be soft and loving. Other ones you'll hear that curiosity, the questioning of things. But the one thing that does remain true within the voice of all of my writing, it's just the honesty.
Mm,
So definitely, that's where we'll connect on a real level, because I'm writing it. I'm writing it with someone in mind who I would love to read it. So
mm.
I think you guys would enjoy the writings there. Yeah, that's it. That's it. But if you go to yobrightguy.com, there's a membership login that you can create an account, and you'll be able to see some of the critiques that I have, the evaluations. So there's on the face of it is a little summarized blurb of what to expect. But if you click on the wines, then you'll see my full kind of like nerded out, geeked out numbers and like, yeah, real critique. But that's usually for like people in the industry that's like, ooh, but that's it.
You
But
said,
that's a gem.
ooh.
It's available for everyone. But if you just want to know the review is right there. It's right there. But if you click on it, that's the breakdown, and you can download
So
it.
that's dope, man. Well, thank you for sharing that. As an interested person, as I get back to one day. I'm still currently not drinking, but being able to share that resource out. So we big on the I am, right? We're big on the identification. Where does Yo Bra Guy go from here from an I am statement, right? What does the next chapter look like for you? Or like define yourself in an I am capacity. I am this, right? Give it to me. What's the next embodiment of identity for you?
I am an influential decision maker, thought leader within the wine world, using my voice and my words.
I am that I am. I am that I am. So, last one, right? This is just for someone out there listening right now who is still in their MI season. They're doubting themselves. They were where you were in the beginning on your journey, right? Before you became the I am that you are today. They're questioning their purpose. They're wondering if they're capable of creating the life that they want. What would you tell them?
It's okay to cry. It's okay to cry.
And with that, perfect, right? Because it is okay. We think that the down parts of the journey, the discouragement, the getting it wrong, the getting redirected, we think that all of that is bad, but it's just a part of the journey. The truth is, every creator's journey is different, but every creator begins with a question, an internal question of am I? And every masterpiece begins with a choice of internal self definition as I am. You have the ability to become aware of the identity that you want to embody, you have the ability to choose the identity that you want to embody, and you have the responsibility to act from the identity that you know is truly who you are internally. I want to thank you for joining the first official episode of the You Are the Creator podcast. Remember, you are not merely experiencing creation, you are participating in it as a co creator. You are the creator's most creative creation because you, as I am, are literally the creator of you, as I am, are literally the creator of your own reality. Definite possibility plus definite desire equals definite manifestation. If you haven't manifested that which you have determined to be possible in your mind, know that it is a state of yet for you to get definite about the possibility or definite in your desire to express yourself in that way. I'm your host, God. I'll see you later.